Airlines are legally required to help you, but they're counting on you not knowing that. 10 travel rights specifically protect seniors at airports and on flights. And airlines, gate agents, and airport staff will almost never tell you about them voluntarily. Some are federal law, some save hundreds of dollars. And the final one is so powerful that most travel attorneys call it the single most underused senior protection in the entire aviation system. This video changes that. 10 rights, legally backed, fully documented, almost never mentioned by anyone with a financial interest in keeping you uninformed. Stay to the end. The final right could save you thousands, and most seniors have never heard of it. Number 1, free wheelchair assistance at every commercial airport. Airlines are legally required to provide this and cannot charge you a single dollar. Under the Air Carrier Access Act, federal law governing airline accessibility since 1986, every commercial airline operating in the United States must provide wheelchair assistance to any passenger who requests it, completely free of charge at every stage of the airport journey. Check-in, security, gate, boarding, deplaning, connecting flights, baggage claim, every step, no doctor's note required, no disability documentation, no explanation needed. If you request wheelchair assistance, the airline must provide it. A senior who finds long terminal walks painful or exhausting qualifies without any paperwork whatsoever. The practical value is enormous. Major airports like LAX, O'Hare, and Atlanta Hartsfield have terminals separated by half a mile or more. For seniors with arthritis, joint pain, or reduced stamina, wheelchair assistance is the difference between a manageable journey and a physically damaging one. What most people don't realize is that wheelchair assistance also typically includes priority boarding, meaning seniors board before general passengers, get first access to overhead bin space, and settle in without a pushing crowd behind them. Request it when booking your ticket, not at the airport. Advance notice ensures staff and equipment are ready before you arrive. Showing up and requesting on the day is your legal right, but advance requests significantly improve reliability. But here's the twist. The next right involves something airlines charge other passengers for that seniors can often access completely free. Number 2, early boarding on every domestic and international flight. Every airline offers this. Almost no senior knows they can simply ask for it. Every major commercial airline, Delta, United, American, Southwest, JetBlue, Alaska, has a boarding priority policy that includes passengers needing additional time or assistance. This is not a premium service, not a paid upgrade. It is a standard accommodation any passenger can request at no cost. For seniors who move more slowly, need time to stow mobility aids, or find the boarding rush physically stressful. This is one of the most practically valuable rights on this entire list. Simply inform the gate agent before boarding begins that you need additional time. You board first. No documentation, no fee, no formal disability status needed. The difference this makes is real. Seniors who board early access all overhead bin storage, critically important now that checked bag fees have pushed nearly every passenger to carry on maximum luggage. They arrange medications and personal items without pressure. They request flight attendant help before the cabin fills and staff attention is divided. What most people don't realize is that on Southwest Airlines, which uses open seating, early boarding is available to seniors simply by requesting it at the gate. That effectively guarantees a preferred seat at zero additional cost. On other carriers, combining early boarding with a pre-selected aisle or bulkhead seat creates the most comfortable possible flight experience. And this is where it gets crazy. The next right involves cash airlines owe you directly and almost never pay unless you know exactly how to claim it. Number 3, Cash compensation up to $1,550 for involuntary bumping. Airlines owe you real cash. Most bumped seniors walk away with vouchers worth far less. Overbooking is a standard legal airline practice. When more passengers show up than seats exist, someone gets bumped. When that happens involuntarily, when you are denied boarding against your will, federal law mandates specific cash compensation. Under current Department of Transportation regulations, if you are involuntarily denied boarding and the airline cannot get you to your destination within 1 hour of your original arrival, you are entitled to 200% of your one-way fare, maximum $775 cash. If the delay exceeds 2 hours domestically or 4 hours internationally, that doubles to 400% of your one-way fare, capped at $1,550. The critical word is cash, not vouchers, not flight credits, not frequent flyer miles. Cash or a check payable immediately. Airlines offer vouchers first because vouchers cost them significantly less. A $400 flight voucher with blackout dates and expiration restrictions has a real-world value far below $400 cash. Seniors who accept the voucher without asking about cash leave real money on the table every single time. What most people don't realize is that you must be involuntarily bumped for these protections to apply. If you voluntarily give up your seat, you've entered a negotiation. And the airline is no longer legally obligated to pay the regulatory minimum. Always wait to hear the airline's final offer before deciding whether to volunteer. But it doesn't end here. The next right protects seniors during one of the most stressful airport experiences imaginable. Number 4. TSA screening accommodations for medical devices and medications. TSA has a dedicated senior assistance program, and almost nobody uses it. The Transportation Security Administration operates a program called TSA Cares, a helpline and support service specifically designed to assist travelers with medical conditions, disabilities, and special needs through security screening. Most seniors have never heard of it. Almost none use it. That gap is one of the most significant missed quality of life improvements in the entire airport experience. By calling TSA Cares at least 72 hours before departure, the number is 1-8557-872227, senior travelers can arrange a passenger support specialist to meet them at the checkpoint and personally guide them through screening. This specialist is trained to accommodate medical devices, mobility aids, implants, and complex medical situations. Federal regulations also protect seniors with specific medical needs at screening. Insulin, liquid medications, and medical supplies in quantities exceeding standard liquid limits are explicitly permitted with proper labeling. Pacemakers, implanted defibrillators, and insulin pumps must be accommodated. TSA agents are required to offer alternative screening methods if a passenger cannot safely pass through standard equipment. What most people don't realize is that passengers 75 and older qualify for expedited screening accommodations at many checkpoints, including keeping shoes and light jackets on, even without TSA pre-check enrollment. This completely changes the security experience for senior travelers. Coming up is a right involving money most seniors pay full price for when they're legally entitled to a meaningful discount. Number 5, senior airfare discounts airlines deliberately hide. Senior discounts still exist on major carriers. They just don't advertise them anymore. Senior airfare discounts have not disappeared. They have been buried under booking systems designed to maximize revenue rather than surface the best fare for any specific passenger. Multiple major airlines, including American, United, and several international carriers, maintain senior fare programs offering meaningful discounts on specific routes and travel periods. Discounts almost never visible on standard booking websites. The strategy is simple but requires bypassing the standard booking flow entirely. Call the airline's reservations line directly, not the website, not a third-party platform, and specifically ask whether senior fares are available for your route and dates. Senior fares are often 10 to 30% below the lowest published fare on the same flight and frequently available when standard discounted fares have already sold out. International carriers are often more aggressive with senior pricing than domestic U.S. airlines. Lufthansa, Air France, British Airways, and several Asian carriers maintain explicit senior discount programs with eligibility typically beginning at age 60 or 65. What most people don't realize is that travel agents specializing in senior travel access, consolidator fares, and senior-specific inventory completely invisible to individual consumers on public booking platforms. For seniors flying internationally 2 or more times per year, a relationship with a senior travel specialist generates savings that far exceed any agent fee. But here's the twist. The next right covers money airlines owe you directly in situations most seniors assume they have no recourse. Number 6, full refunds on non-refundable tickets under specific conditions. Non-refundable does not mean what airlines want you to believe it means. The phrase non-refundable is one of the most misunderstood terms in consumer travel. Most seniors interpret it as absolute and final. It is neither. Federal regulations and airline policies create multiple circumstances where full cash refunds are available on tickets airlines have labeled non-refundable. And seniors who know these circumstances recover money that would otherwise vanish. The most important is the DOT's 24-hour rule. Every airline selling tickets for U.S. departing flights must provide a full refund within 24 hours of purchase, regardless of the ticket's stated refund policy. A senior who books and realizes within 24 hours that dates are wrong or a better option exists can cancel and receive a complete refund with zero penalty. Beyond 24 hours, full refunds are required when an airline cancels your flight or when a schedule change results in a departure or arrival significantly different from what was purchased, typically 90 minutes or more. In these scenarios, even non-refundable tickets must be refunded in full in the original payment method. What most people don't realize is that airlines do not proactively offer cash refunds in these situations. They offer rebooking or credit first. Knowing to specifically request a cash refund under the applicable DOT regulation is the difference between getting your money back and accepting a credit that expires before you can use it. Coming up is a right that applies specifically to mobility aids, and knowing it prevents one of the most distressing senior travel experiences. Right number 7, mobility aids must be returned at the aircraft door. Your wheelchair must be waiting at the gate when you land, not at baggage claim. Mobility aids, wheelchairs, walkers, scooters, canes, occupy a protected legal category under the Air Carrier Access Act that gives them fundamentally different treatment from standard checked baggage. Understanding this distinction prevents one of the most distressing and practically damaging experiences in modern air travel. Under federal regulations, manual wheelchairs must be accepted as carry-on baggage whenever aircraft storage allows. When cabin storage isn't possible and the device is checked, it must be stowed carefully to prevent damage and returned at the aircraft door upon arrival, not at the baggage carousel. A senior who boards using a wheelchair should have that wheelchair waiting at the jet bridge immediately upon deplaning, No exceptions. When airlines damage mobility aids, a distressingly common occurrence, liability is substantially higher than for standard baggage. The Air Carrier Access Act imposes specific repair or replacement obligations, and the DOT actively investigates complaints involving damaged mobility devices. What most people don't realize is that airlines are required to have a complaints resolution official, a specifically trained staff member, available at the airport or by phone at all times to resolve ACAA violations immediately. Requesting to speak with the CRO is a senior passenger's fastest path to on-the-spot resolution of any accessibility violation. And this is where it gets crazy. The next right involves a formal complaint process that carries real financial consequences for airlines that almost no senior ever uses. Number 8, medical emergency priority and in-flight accommodations. If a medical emergency happens mid-flight, specific federal protections activate immediately. Medical emergencies during flight are more common than most passengers realize, and the rights governing airline response are more extensive than airlines typically communicate. For seniors with cardiovascular conditions, diabetes, respiratory issues, or other chronic health concerns, understanding these protections before an emergency matters enormously. Every commercial U.S. aircraft is required to carry automated external defibrillators, basic first aid supplies, and a comprehensive emergency medical kit. Flight crews are trained in emergency protocols, and when a medical emergency requires it, the captain has full authority to divert to the nearest suitable airport regardless of the original routing. What activates the full emergency response is a passenger clearly communicating the nature and severity of their situation to flight crew. Seniors who feel unwell should immediately and clearly inform a flight attendant, not minimize symptoms out of concern for inconvenience. The aircraft has resources and the captain has authority, but only when crew are fully aware. What most people don't realize is that airlines must make reasonable accommodations for passengers with known medical conditions communicated in advance. Seniors with cardiac conditions, severe allergies, insulin-dependent diabetes, or oxygen requirements who notify the airline at booking can arrange specific in-flight accommodations, meal modifications, equipment allowances, seating priority that make the journey significantly safer. But it doesn't end here. The next right involves a complaints process that costs airlines real money and most seniors never use. Number 9, DOT complaints that carry real consequences for airlines. One complaint filed the right way costs airlines real money. Most seniors never file. There is a critical difference between a customer service complaint filed through an airline's own website and a formal complaint filed with the Department of Transportation. And that difference is the entire distinction between creating accountability and creating nothing. An internal airline complaint is processed by the airline's own customer relations team. The airline decides how to respond, what compensation to offer, and whether any action results. It is invisible to regulators, invisible to the public, and creates zero external accountability. A formal DOT complaint filed at airconsumer.gov becomes part of the public record. The DOT publishes monthly complaint statistics by airline, data that affects regulatory scrutiny, reputation scores, and in cases of systematic violations, formal enforcement actions carrying financial penalties. Airlines track DOT complaint rates carefully because the numbers are visible to regulators, journalists, and the traveling public. For individual seniors seeking resolution, the formal DOT process also triggers a required airline response, not a discretionary one. Airlines must respond to DOT-forwarded complaints, creating accountability that internal complaints simply cannot generate. What most people don't realize is that the DOT complaint process is completely free, takes roughly 15 minutes online, and is most effective when filed within 60 days of the incident with specific documentation, flight numbers, dates, staff names, and a clear description of the regulation violated. Specific complaints produce specific remedies. Vague complaints produce nothing. The final right is coming up, and it's the one travel attorneys describe as the most powerful and most underused senior aviation protection in the entire system. Number 10, travel insurance pre-existing condition waivers. The final right, and the one that could save you thousands that most seniors never claim. Here it is. The right travel attorneys, senior advocates, and consumer protection specialists consistently identify as the most underused, most misunderstood, and most financially significant protection available to senior travelers anywhere in the aviation system. The right to purchase and successfully claim travel insurance that fully covers pre-existing medical conditions through a mechanism called the pre-existing condition waiver. Most seniors believe their pre-existing conditions exclude them from meaningful travel insurance coverage. Most seniors are completely wrong, and that misunderstanding costs the senior travel community hundreds of millions of dollars in unclaimed benefits every single year. Travel insurance policies from reputable providers, including Allianz, Travel Guard, and Seven Corners, contain pre-existing condition waivers that make those conditions fully coverable, including for a trip cancellation, trip interruption, and emergency medical evacuation, provided the policy is purchased within a specific window after the initial trip deposit. That window is typically 10 to 21 days depending on the policy. Emergency medical evacuation coverage is where the financial protection becomes genuinely life-changing. Medical evacuation from a foreign country, a real possibility for any senior who experiences a cardiac event, stroke, or serious injury abroad, costs between $50,000 and $250,000 without insurance. With comprehensive travel insurance, including the waiver, that entire cost is covered. Annual premiums for seniors with multiple pre-existing conditions typically run $200 to $600, depending on trip cost and destination. What most people don't realize is that the waiver also covers travel companions. A senior who purchases a policy with the waiver protects their entire travel party, spouse, adult child, or friend, if any of them experience a medical emergency related to a pre-existing condition. A $300 insurance purchase becomes a financial backstop covering everyone traveling together. And this is where it gets crazy. The waiver covers cancellation for medical reasons related to pre-existing conditions. A senior who purchases insurance within the waiver window and later cannot travel because their heart condition, arthritis, COPD, or diabetes flares can cancel and receive a full refund of all non-refundable trip costs. Without the waiver, that same cancellation is excluded entirely. The difference between buying within the window and buying one day late can be thousands of dollars. Simply gone. If this revealed rights you didn't know existed, share it with every senior traveler in your life before their next trip. Hit like if it helped. Subscribe because the next video covers 8 hotel right seniors are almost never told about. Legal protections covering accessibility, refunds, and accommodations that hotels are required to provide and almost never volunteer. That one is coming very soon. You'll want to see it before your next booking.